Before proceeding, please can someone tell me if my voice is audible and my screen is visible? Type S in the chat box. Type S in the chat box if my voice is audible and my screen is visible, so that we can start. Okay, Madhu. Okay, the concept is going to be like how to convert Java objects to JSON. Right? Before even understanding the conversion, we need to understand basically about the acronym for JSON. What does it exactly mean to be a JSON? So simply I can say that JSON is nothing but it is an acronym for JavaScript Object Notation. And they usually say, we usually tell JSON as what? JSON is used to represent any kind of data, and it is also used to transport the data from one application to another application. Right? Why this format is used and why Java objects needs to be converted to JSON? Right? What exactly is the purpose of JSON? Right? You will understand that because each and every application, each and every framework is going to depend on some data, some external data. Right? This external data can be represented in many ways. Right? One of the ways are JSON, and we have another way like XML data. We have data, we can represent data in the form of CSV, we can represent data in the form of text format, we can represent data in the form of JSON. These are the format that you can represent the data. Okay? Where we are going to use all this, we will understand that. Okay? So for the time being, let me help me with a small analogy. The analogy is going to be very simple. Try to pay some attention here. If you want to open a browser, right? In my system, if you want to open a browser, let us say that is a if you want to open if you want to open a browser, right, like Mozilla, I have browser like what? I can use Google Chrome, I can use Edge, any browser I can open, right? With my system, in my system, I can open any browsers. Let me go with Chrome, Google Chrome, right? When I just give the URL like www.google.com, something like that, google.com, right? Internally what happens, right? This google.com is a kind of HTTP protocol. We'll understand about the protocol later, right? We are just giving an address, right? This thing, this data, or this particular URL is going to get transmitted over the network. It will get transmitted over the network in the form of request, right? So we are trying to access google.com. This google.com will be transferred over the network, right? From the network, it will get transferred over to the respective server. So let us understand that this is a server, right? Based upon our URL request, the server is going to give some response, right? Server is going to give some response. If you see here, this response can be in the form of HTML pages, right? A static page, or you can say that an HTML page, hypertext markup language, HTML page, right? This is very simple to understand. We send a request by using a browser. Browser can be anything. It can be Google or any browser, right? This request will be transferred. It is going to use a network. It is going to use a network. Through the network, it will get access to the server, right? And the server is going to give a response. But the question is the request, and we are not sure what kind of request is this, and we are not sure what kind of response we receive. But we know one thing: if I type google.com, I will get a page. I will get a search box. In the search box, I can type whatever I can. But internally, the request, we are not sure what kind of request it is taking in, and the response we are not sure. You know one thing, as an end user, you can able to see what? You can able to see a CS screen. You can able to see the user interface. Means the things that you see from the end user, from the front end. A beautiful page will be displayed to the console, right? From there you will get a search box. In the search box, you can type whatever you want, whatever you are looking for, isn't it? right? But in some cases, so in this case, I can say that the response is in the form of HTML, right? But what if I want to transfer a data? What if I want to, right, transfer a data? Means what if I want to transport some information? The request, if I want to, in the request, if I want to transport some information, and in the response, if I want to receive some information again in the form of data. Very simple. If you open Facebook, right, Facebook will ask you to enter your credentials. After entering your credentials, the credentials will be validated in the server, right? And the server will give a response. The response is going to be like, if the credentials are valid, you will be logged in successfully. You will get authenticated and you will be authorized, and you are good to go, good to open your Facebook page, right? So the things that is mandatory for you to be filled is what? Your user ID and your password. These are the two things that is required for you to be filled, right? One is your user ID, and the second one is your password. This data will be taken in a page. A page can be an HTML page, or it can be a CSS page, or it can be a JavaScript page. Any front-end technology you can use to fill the data, right? What are the front-end technologies? What are the major front-end technologies that we have in the computer world? We can say HTML. We have, right? We have, like, on top of HTML, if you use CSS for the better design, and you can go use JavaScript. These are the front-end technologies. These technologies will accept some data. You will have some, like, sometimes you will be asked to share some inputs, right? These inputs will be considered as a data, a raw data, or a lightweight data, right? So these particular channels, or these particular front-end technologies, they are expecting, or they are anticipating some data. You will give the data in the form of, let us say that you are entering the data in the form of user ID and password. This will go as a request. This will go as a request, right? This is the data, pair of data, user ID and password, in the server, right? So this data is formatted by using JavaScript or HTML or by CSS. But if you're in the backend, in the server side, if you're using a different language in the server side, for example, the server side, if you're using, let's say if you're using Java technology, the server side. In the client side, the technology varies from the client side to the server side. The server side, you may be using Java, or you may be using PHP, or you may be using Python. You can use any language. It is not a compulsion that you need to go only with a specific language. Servers can use any kind of language that is that is flexible to the server. It depends upon the flexibility. But you cannot say that server should be using only this language. It is not like that. It can be developed by using any other languages, right? If this data, if the sender data, or if the request, if this particular request, right? If this request needs to be accepted, right? This data will be transferred can be transferred in the form of what? This data can be transferred by using different formatters. What are the formatters that you can use to transport your data is, right? You can either use one of these options. One is a simple text format, or you can use CSV, or you can use XML format, or you can go with what? JSON, right? These are the format that you can choose to transport your data. Right? Now we are discussing the JSON. Why we are discussing the JSON, we will understand it shortly. But there are many other formats. If, for example, let us say that if I am my name is Balaji. If you want to reveal my information, right? What I can say, my name is Balaji. My name is Balaji, and I am from. I can say that I am from Chennai. I am from Chennai. I work I work as a software developer. I have 5 years of experience. A simple text data, right? So this is called as a text data. But the problem is with the text data is that this data is not at all organized. It is that this data is not organized. This is imperfect, right? So these data, I mean, there is also an information here, right? But I want to like, I want to transfer only. I want to transport only the data. If I choose this, if I choose this information, or if I choose this text data to be transported in the receiving side, the languages will find it very difficult to receive this data because it is not formatted properly, right? And by using Java, if I ever had to use Java, I need to develop a code in such a way that it is going to just filter out the actual data. This is the actual data that is required. Balaji is a name, location I need, and I need this information software developer, and I need 5 years of experience. I want to decrypt only this information. In order to do this decryption, or if you want to extract this data specifically, I should be using a lot of languages. I should be writing a lot of code internally in the server side, right? Server side programming will also have a big code to extract the specific data that is required for my server, right? In order to avoid this is a simple text data. If I choose to pass a text data, the receiving side or the server side will take a lot of time or will take a lot of resources to do what? To do the extraction. I don't need all the data because I need the organized data. What is organized data? The data that are specific to the application is the organized data. See, for example, if the user ID, password, these are specific to the application. This is the organized data. I need this data, only this data. It's not like I can pass whatever I want, and I am not going to give an option to the server, or I am not going to make the things complicated to the server. It's not server's job to extract my data. It's my job to give the right input. So data should be organized. So in order to organize any data, we will use these formatters. What are the formatters? We use the text formatter. Text format is not recommended because it is going to keep the data heavy loaded, right? And CSV is one of the format, XML is one of the format, and JSON, which you are talking about, is the best format. Best in the sense it is a lightweighted data transporter, because transporting this data is going to become very easy when you use JSON, right? Instead of transporting this data, if you use JSON is going to transport only the specific data. Specific data is what? Balaji, right? The data that is actually required, right? Developer, right? And we have what? 5 years. This is the required data. And do you think this is required? My name is no, this is not required. This is required, and this will be validated by the server directly, right? Based upon this data, it will perform whatever the calculations that is required or whatever the operations that is required, right? And if it wants to save this data, it can save depending upon the request that we are sending. Based upon the request, if we are expecting any response, right, based upon the inputs that is shared, it is going to give the response. But the question is how the data is getting formatted, how the data is getting transported. That is the question, right? So in this case, I am transporting data. I am going to transport the data with the help of what? JSON format, right? For example, if I have two different applications, very simple guys. If I have two, this is one application, this is another application. This is one application. This is application A. Let us assume this as what? Application A or application 1, app 1. This app 2. So if this app 1, if this app 2, or if this 2 wants to do some communication, right? The communication will happen. What? How the communication is going to happen? The communication will happen by the data that we are going to pass. You need to pass some data to this app 2, and by getting your data, this app 2 is going to do some evaluation or do some authentication, right? And it is going to give you some response, right? The data that you're passing, the mode of transportation that you choose, the mode of transportation, the mode of transporting the data, or the data format that are going to choose is what is going to, that is what you're going about. That is what you're, that's JSON. So JSON stands for JavaScript Object Natation. It is one of the ways that the data can be transported. Right? This application one may be using a different language. This application two may be using a different language. But these both applications want to communicate with each other. Data transfer should be done between these two applications, right? So you need to choose a common data transporter, common data transporter that can be understood by the app one as well as the app two. That common data transporter is nothing but what? JSON. Right? So when you say JSON, so we going to talk about only JSON, and what about this XML, and these are the other ways of transporting data, but we are not going to talk about them because they are outdated. I don't say it is outdated. They are heavy weighted, lightweight. It is just like a differentiation can be very simple. Previously, the mobile phones are very huge, right? Mobile phones are very huge, and the operations are very rudimentary in the sense you will be having you don't have touch buttons, you have direct buttons, right? The operations are very rudimentary, and you cannot perform multiple operations by using your mobile phone, right? Very simple operations you can perform: making a phone call, and receiving text messages, and sending text messages, right? These are the basic operations that you can perform. But over the years, due to the evolution of technology, right, this big mobile phone has turned into a small phone, right? And this small phone has no keypad feature, right? It has a new feature called a touch feature, right? And you can perform a lot of operations by using this touch feature, isn't it? Advanced because of the technology advancement. The same thing goes here. JSON is the advanced data transporter, right? And remaining things are outdated. Not outdated, they are old versions, I can say. If you take TV, or if you take any desktop, see, laptops are portable. You can carry it anywhere. You can transport it anywhere. JSON is just like laptop. You can carry it anywhere because it is portable. Why it is portable? You have a charger and you can charge your laptop anywhere, and it is easily carryable. You can carry it anywhere because it is lightweighted. Same thing, same analogy is applied for JSON as well. JSON is what? JSON is lightweighted data transporter, right? And why we are talking about JSON? Because in the Spring applications, right, especially in the Spring applications, most of the data will get transported with the help of what? With the help of JSON. Right? You may be having a lot of things in the front end as well as in the back end. Right? So front end in the sense, when I say front end, it is like the things that you see. When I say back end, it is like the things that you don't see. Okay? So let us talk about JSON theoretically for the better understanding. I've already said that JSON is for 1 minute, guys. I'm getting a call. 1 minute. Okay. Okay, guys. So JSON, it is used to store and transport data which is in the lightweighted format. Lightweight is not, it is not like it is weighing less. It is not the actual meaning. Lightweighted means something like it can be transported easily. Transportation is very easy with the help of JSON. When you say JSON, you are transporting data with a format. The format name is nothing but the JSON is the format. Right. And we will develop a lot of applications on top of the JSON. Internally, Spring Boot is going to use JSON formatter. right? And the applications communicate with each other with the help of, actually applications will communicate with each other with the help of REST APIs. With the help of APIs, I can say. With the help of APIs, but the data that is used internally as a transporter is nothing but the JSON, mostly. So sometimes it can be XML, it can be anything, but JSON is used mostly because of its advantages. So it is used to transmit data between application and the server. Very simple. The previous example. This is the example, and you may be wondering if you ever like anticipate this kind of interview questions. You can expect a lot of questions from this particular topic, JSON. So these are the internal things. In the future, when we are trying to develop any Spring applications, we completely depend upon the JSON objects, because front-end people, right, they will be using a different technology, and we receive data, the payload, we can call it as a payload. The back-end people, the server-side application needs some data from the front-end. How we are going to receive the data? How we are going to receive the data? The data will be received in the form of JSON. So this understanding is very, very important. Right? So this is what it expects. Right? Any doubts so far? This is what the JSON is. Right? Now let us write a program. We will also write a program to convert the Java object into the JSON object. Firstly, we know what is a Java object. So the simple definition can be Java object is nothing but Java object is an instance of a class, isn't it? Java object is an instance of a class which is going to have what? It is going to have properties and behaviors. Behaviors for identification. Any class, any Java class is going to have two things: properties. It is going to have. It is also going to have a behavior. But we can say that instead of properties, to be specific, I can say that it is going to have state. All the properties can be categorized into one word, which is called as a state, and it is going to have behavior, and it is also going to have what? An identity. Behaviors are nothing but the methods. All the functional behaviors are placed inside the method. Identity is the object reference, the representation. Making sense? For example, let us take a small class. Let us take a small Java class. This is for the better understanding. So we will develop a small class and we will try to convert this object into JSON. After this conversion, we will, let us take me an employee class. I have taken this example from the website, Java 2 points. So name, and we have a salary, right? And Boolean. Let me take a Boolean value whether is married. The person is married or not. Three properties. These properties, we can also call these properties as what? State. All these properties can be placed under one name, which is called as what? State. Let me take a main method, public static main. The main method, I am going to use what? String array obs. Very simple class. Very simple class. No, I don't think we need any more explanation for this class. So in this class, I am creating object for the employee. Equal to new employee. Okay. So after the object creation, I need to assign values for each and every property. So I can say that the values need to be assigned for each and every property. So let me take my initial Balaji. right? And salary equal to 10,000, and employee dot is married equal to false, right? So I can type system dot sop system dot out dot println employee dot name. So we know this, when we do this internally an object will be created. So the object which we are talking about is a Java object, not the JSON object. But the question is, how do we convert the Java object to the JSON object? That is the interesting part that we need to focus on. Why we need to focus here? Because all the Spring applications, whenever you are using any Spring application, it's your job or it's your duty, either converting the Java object to JSON directly or indirectly. With the help of framework, you can do this conversion, right? But before even understanding about how the framework is converting, we need to understand how typically you can convert the Java object to JSON object. Internally, these things will be taken care of by the framework itself, right? So this is the class. So this is the Java object. So when you run this program, anyone with eyes can say that, right, the controller will come here. The controller will be coming here. In the main method, all the instructions inside the main method will be executed. Now, what happens? An object will be created because we are using the new keyword. And of course, we are not supposed to use new keyword when you are trying to develop any application by using Spring Boot. But our understanding is on top of what? We are trying to understand how the JSON object can be produced. Right? So object is getting created because of this new keyword, right? Inside the new keyword, so the values, the actual values will be assigned. The place of name, Balaji will be assigned. Right? Secondly, in the place of salary, right, 10,000 will be assigned. Right? And thirdly, in the place of is married, what happens in the place of is married? False will be assigned. So this is the typical Java object that we can create with the help of new keyword. These are the Java things. But the question is, I want to transport this object. This is just like a memory. I want to transport this object. I can do the transport directly. I can just directly see. Now one thing you should understand here. So here the name is employee. This is, let us assume that this is one application, right? So this application it has potential enough, there's some potential to create an object. This is the object. Object is nothing but a memory allocation. Right? In my system, somewhere in my system, right, some memory is allocated inside my system, right? And object is created. If I want to do object transport, I can do this transportation in two ways. One thing is I can directly transport this as a Java object. Secondly, I can transport this as a JSON object or any other data format. Understand one thing? If I want to directly transport this as Java object, I can use what? Serializable interface or Java concept. Serializable interface. If I do serialization, this object will be broken down into pieces. Right? At the receiving side, this broken down pieces will get reconstructed as an object and the same values can be recovered. So Java object can be directly transferred as a Java object. Very simple, guys. If I am able to communicate in Tamil or Telugu, right? If I am talking to you, if I am trying to give you some information with the same language. So if I speak Tamil, if you can also speak Tamil, right? If I communicate in Tamil, no problem. You can understand it, right? That is what we call it as what? Transporting the data by using the Java object itself. So the language that you define is Java, and you are using the same language for the transportation. That is one case. Case two is the other side or the other person. For example, if I know Tamil and if you know Telugu, you don't know Tamil, right? What is the common language that we can use? We can use English. So the language English is like the JSON object, the JSON object here. I am using a different notation or I'm using a different data transporter. Right? Same transporter, use serializable interface, right? And reconstruct the object at the receiving side. Same object will be reconstructed. Very simple. Same Java object is going to get reconstructed in the receiving side. Same Java object. Secondly, if you do not want to share the same Java object, convert this Java object to JSON. Java object will be converted to JSON. Transport the JSON object. On the receiving side, it will receive the object in the form of JSON. It's not going to be a Java object. This is going to be a JSON object. That same data will be there, but it is using a JSON. I hope this is making some sense, right? So I have just created a class, and this class is going to create a Java object. Java object is created. Now the question is, how this Java object can be converted to JSON? If you do not want to convert it to JSON, you can transport the same object with the help of serializable interface. But this is a different thing. But we are trying to learn this part, JSON. Understand that? These things are really required because front end use different languages, back end use different languages, but there should be a common object or the common what we call it as the common language for the communication, for the data transfer. That common thing is what JSON. JSON is one of the common. So the question is, how a programmer can convert? How to convert Java object to JSON object. This is one of the popular interview questions. It was asked many times in the Capgemini interview. Question is very simple. How do you convert Java object to JSON object? Right? So there are only two ways to convert. If you remember this, then you get a lot of confidence. Using JSON library. Secondly, by using JSON API. What is the answer? How many ways the Java objects can be converted to JSON object, or how to convert Java object to JSON object? The answer is very straightforward. Using JSON library you can do, or using JSON API. But the question is, what is this JSON library and what is the JSON API? That I will help you. Question is, what is the JSON API? What is the JSON library? And second question is, what is the JSON API? Firstly, let us understand what is this JSON library. So this is very interesting part because JSON library will do the vice versa also. Vice versa means what? It is used to convert Java object to JSON and JSON object back to Java. First thing, it is used to convert. This is a library. This is a library. It is a kind of dependency. You will find this library in MVN repository. We will develop a program on top of this. No worries. Try to understand. JSON is nothing but a library. It is a kind of dependency. You can get this dependency in MVN repository. You will have to add this dependency in the Maven project. As simple as that. Right, but the question is, what is the use of JSON library? It is used to convert Java object to JSON and JSON object to Java. What are the steps that are involved to create a JSON library? That is the question. Very simple. Create a Maven project. Every time you will create a Maven project because we should think little bit advanced. The core Java concepts are not going to be here. So the project that we are going to create is a Maven project. Why Maven project? Dependencies we need to add. Adding dependencies are very easy when you go with Maven project. As simple as that. Dependency. All the dependencies will be added where? In the XML file. Third one, create Pojo class. Pojo class is nothing but the data carrier class. Or I can say that we have studied what Java bean class or Pojo class. Pojo class is going to have setters, getters, so many things, so many stuffs are involved, right? State will be there, behavior will be there, right? Any class that is not going to depend upon any external library apart from JDK, apart from Java. That is called as what? Pojo class. So JSON, to convert any object to JSON, The class must be a POSIX class without any external dependencies. Lastly, create a Java class, main class, to convert the Java object to JSON object, as simple as that. These are the 4 steps. Right, let me open my Eclipse meanwhile. It's very easy to do. After doing this, after creating one project, the future, firstly you will do this conversion manually with the help of object mappers and writer string methods. But future, this framework itself will take care of this JSON conversion. Right? So it is not like since the framework is taking care of this conversion, we are not supposed to learn this. We are supposed to learn this because this is the fundamental. Only if you understand fundamental, the advanced topics are going to be very easy. Right? So my Eclipse will not take much time. Just type as in the chat box if you are good till now. Don't unmute. If you are able to follow till now, just type as in the chat box. All your questions will be answered. What about you, Shantanu? Okay. Give me some time, guys. It is opening. Okay. Let me launch it. Okay, meanwhile, while it is opening, I will also tell you, I will give you some more inputs for you, right? There are protocols like in the REST APIs, there are some SOAP calls, we call it as SOAP calls. Right? So the SOAP calls, they use XML format, XML data transporter. We will understand what is a SOAP call in the future classes. And we have REST calls. Most of the REST calls, they use what? They use JSON. But the question is, what is a SOAP call and what is a REST call? Right? We will have answers for this. Right? Why JSON is called as lightweighted? Because it is lightweighted. Okay, it is open, guys. It is lightweighted just because it is very deep. It is very easy to transmit data, transport it. So let me create a Maven project. What is a filter? Anyone remember? org space key. Anyone remember, guys? Just type in the chat box org space. Asking about the architect. I know you don't remember. The keyboard is not okay. Maven space archetype space quick start, right? Maven space archetype space quick start. Okay. Follow. Architect ID is also called as what? Project name. Project name is JSON. Okay. Finish. Let me take Balu one. Okay, Maven project is being built in the back end. Take some time, right? After building the Maven project, the next step is we need to add a dependency. Dependency is what? JSON dependency. Let me open the notepad. So I am using MVN repository. In the MVN repository, we will find all the dependencies. Just type MVN, right? Just you type what? Here you type JSON dependency. Okay. JSON is nothing but Google. It is supported by Google. We choose this. So we can choose any version. Let us choose a 2.8 version. 2.8.0 version. So this is a dependency. Very simple. Copying this dependency. Let us be in the standby mode. Okay, the project is created here. Okay. Now let us open pom.xml file. In the pom.xml file, we add dependencies. Where we will add dependencies? Under the dependencies tab. So dependency is added. After adding this dependency, what I am supposed to do? Save this. After saving this, go to the project. Right click, Maven, update project. Right. As soon as we start updating the project, all the required dependencies will be downloaded by the Maven itself. Because we have created we have placed a dependency tag. In the dependency tag, we have given the required information. Required information will be fetched by the Maven itself. You are not supposed to do anything. But if you see Maven dependencies, see JSON is downloaded. 2.8.0 jar. If you are not using this jar has to be what? Manually searched, and it needs to be searched manually by the developer. You need to download it, and as soon as you should be able to place the jar in this particular folder, Maven dependency folder. You should not mess up with the class path. This is what we call as the class path. Should be placed in the respective class path. You should be developer should be taking care of all this. But this Maven, when you choose Maven project, just by adding this dependency, everything will be taken care by the Maven. That's an advantage. Again, I'm saying. Right? Then what happened? Adding dependency. Then the next thing is we will have to create a Pojo class. So here we will create a Pojo class. Let me rewrite this name as. Where is that? How to do the rewrite? So what I am doing is we will create a simple Pojo class. Name of the class is app itself. Okay. Private string name private string location private string name location what else I can add name location phone number. Phone number let us be in the form of string itself. Private int salary. So there are 4 properties in the form of state. 4 properties. Let me generate the getters and setters for these 4 properties. So file source. I hope you know how to generate getters and setters. Select all, generate. So getters and setters are generated, right? And we will also generate the toString method so that we will able to identify our properties. Right? We should understand one more thing. So we have generated getters and setters. At the same time, it's our responsibility to create a constructor, no or constructor. Our responsibility. Right? So successfully we have created what? We have created a Pojo class. Name of the Pojo class is what? App class. In the app class, it is accepting Pojo. Right? Now the question is how this class can be converted to JSON object. Let me create a main class. New class. I'm giving the name as driver class. Driver class is also called as what, the main class. In the main class, firstly I will create the Java object. After creating the Java object, we will try to convert the Java object to the JSON. Making sense? Right? So how do we create the Java object? We close all this. The name of the app is the class, isn't it? Obj equal to new app. Right? Obj dot set location. Obj dot set name. Balaji. Obj dot set name. Obj dot set phone number. Phone number is in the form of string, so I will give my any random phone number in the form of string. Let's assume this as a phone number. Obj dot salary. Set salary in the form of long. Right? So if I give system dot out dot println obj, we get an output. Output is meaningful. But this output, when you talk about this output, this is the Java object output. This is the plain Java, Java object output. But I want this output in the form of JSON. So I can say that Java object. This is how the Java object output will be printed with the help of toString method, right? If you try to override toString method, these are the values. Are the details that you have placed inside this object, right? That's why I'm calling it a Java object output, right? But I want the output in the form of JSON, right? I want the output in the form of what? The form of JSON. Very simple. In the system dot out dot println, so I am just typing it as JSON output, right? And again the next line, I'm using a very simple statement, new JSON. New JSON. Right? New JSON is going to use a library inside the JSON class because we have added the JSON dependency. Right? Just use new JSON, or we have a method called toJSON method is there. Right? toJSON. I mean this new JSON class, this new JSON class can be used with a method. The method name is toJSON method. Inside the JSON method is accepting a Java object argument. Here the object is obj. I'm just passing that obj here. Right? Let me run this. See, this is the JSON output. See, there is a lot of difference between this output and this output. This is the Java output. Okay, this is how the JSON data is represented. There's a lot of difference. See? Both are not same. This Java output, this JSON output. This is how the data will be transmitted over the network to different applications. This is how the data will be transmitted. If there is no concept of JSON, right, the server side should write a program. The server side or the client application, the server side application should write a program in such a way that, right, it is going to fetch each and every individual values. But this is very easy, right? Same thing. So when you say Java, it is using toString method. This is how the output is specified. But when you say JSON, this is the JSON format. It is displayed in the form of key value pairs. Name, it's a key, it's a value. It's a key, it's a value. It's a key, it's a value. Key values. This JSON data can be used, right? You can use this data, and again you can convert this data into Java object depending upon the requirement, right? I can simply say that this is the Pojo class that we are talking about. What I have done, the steps are like create Maven project. Maven project is created, and add JSON dependency. JSON dependency has been added. Create Pojo class. So this is the third point that we are talking about. Pojo class is also created. This is the Pojo class. Bojo class is created. After creating Bojo class, create a Java class to convert JSON object to Java object to JSON. So this is what I have just said. This is the Java class. So we are doing a conversion with a simple logic. New JSON to JSON. Right? So this is what I have used. Very simple. The question is, are we going to use this in every Spring application? The answer is no. We are not going to do anything about this JSON object. These JSON objects will be taken care by the framework itself. But the question is, how this is getting converted internally? That understanding is required. What is JSON? That understanding is required. What is the purpose of JSON? That understanding is required. Why the Java object needs to convert to JSON? That understanding is required. To understand that, you need to execute this program from your side. So what is the output that we got? This is the output that we got. So from this output, can able to differentiate what is the Java object and what is the JSON object? Yes, we can able to differentiate, because JSON object will always be in the form of what? Key value pass. So this is marking. This is what? The JSON object. This is what we call it as what? JSON object. It will be in the form of key value. This is how you transport the data. You can transport this data over the network, right? On the receiving side application can be using any other programming language. It can be Python, or it can be whatever it is, PHP, anything, right? So all this information will be retrieved, or all this information will be extract. Very simple to extract, right? We have name Balaji, in the place of location channel, place of phone number this, in the place of salary this. So this information will be extracted by the receiver side, right? Or this information will be transported to the front end side. Right, and output will be displayed according to the information that that is getting converted from Java object to the JSON output. This is one way. This is one of the ways. The second way is what? The second way is using JSON library. Right? So this JSON library is also very interesting. Please be online. Don't try to go out. We will complete this and we will conclude this part. Right, there are high chances that these questions will be asked in your interview. Second one is by using JSON library. We got to know how to use JSON library. Now we have to know what is a JSON library. Right, so this JSON library is going to use a class. Inside this JSON library, there is a class called the object mapper class. It is very self-explanatory. Object mapper. This object will be mapped. Object mapper class is a part of JSON API, which has provided several methods. Methods to convert what? To convert what? Java objects to JSON and the vice versa. It's also going to convert the same both. But what is the difference between these two? What is the difference between JSON and JSON library? That difference is very self-explanatory. We will understand after this. Right. So what are the methods that is placed inside the object mapper class for the effective object conversion? One method is there. Write value as. You can get this question. Question will be like, what are the ways to convert the Java object to JSON? There are two ways: using JSON library, second using JSON API. JSON library, you know what is JSON library, but if you add the JSON dependency, right, you are going to create an object for JSON, and there is a method called toJSON method. Right? But if you are specifically talking about JSON library, there is a method called write value as. You should remember only these two. Simple as that. Here also same thing, the same procedure. What is the procedure? Very simple. Create a Maven project. Same steps. All the 4 steps, but instead of a JSON dependency, here you are going to use what? JSON API. Same steps. Right, same steps. Instead of this JSON, let me remove this. We're going to use what? JSON API. JSON dependency. As simple as that. Everything is going to be same. Right? Let us keep it very fast. Same thing. File. Create a Maven project. First, that is the first step, right? File new Maven project. So inside the Maven project, next the artifact is going to be what? Maven hyphen e type hyphen quick start. So ball1 artifact ID is what? Nothing but the project name. Now JSON. Finish. The project is getting created. Meanwhile, the second step is very simple. We need to download JSON library. Previously JSON dependency. Now JSON. Just remember this JSON and JSON, as simple as that. Okay, go to MVN repository. Okay. MVN repository. Inside the MVN repository, just type for JSON. Okay, first one, JSON database. Click here. Choose the appropriate version, right? Don't choose this. Okay, I think my voice is audible and my screen is visible. The time has been set for 1 hour. Just type S in the chat box if it is clear. My voice and screen is clear, right? Okay. Okay, I was saying we need to choose the appropriate dependency. Don't go for this vulnerabilities, right? Let me choose 2.14. Let me copy this data. Going back to the project, inside the project, right? I need to JSON. So inside this action, I need to choose pom.xml, right? So this pom.x, let me close all this. Let me close all this. To avoid confusion, I'm closing all this. Okay, inside the pom.xml, under the inside the dependency tags, I need to add our dependency. So this is the dependency, JSON dependency, JSON API, right? Then just do the save. After saving it, data bind is already added. But for the to be in the safer side, go and update project. JSON. Okay. So dependency is added successfully. Okay. Now next question is, after adding dependencies, what we are supposed to do? We need to create a Pojo class. Okay. So let us create the Pojo class. Let us use the same app. Okay. Let us take only two properties this time. Let me take integer id, or I can say it like private integer id, private string name, private string location. Three properties I am taking for better understanding. Right? And let me take a default constructor. Right? After taking the default constructor, let us add the setters and getters. So adding setters and getters are very easy. It generates getters and setters and getters for all the properties. Right? Then let us take a toString method to display the object data. toString method generating toString. Okay, so I'm going to save this. But secondly, let us create the driver class. Class driver. The driver class we need to what we call it as we need to run the project, right? Main method is mandatory. So I'm taking the main method. Over here, what I'm trying to do, I'm trying to create a basic object. Obj equal to new app. Right? So obj dot set ID. I'm taking the ID as 1, 2, 3. Obj dot set location Chennai. Obj dot set name. This time name Tirumalam. Right? So if I want to display this just as a Java object, it is very simple to display. How can you display this as just as a Java object? Just type system.out.println obj. This is Java object, but I want to display it as what? JSON object. In order to display it as a JSON object, I need to use a class called object mapper class. Object mapper OM equal to new object. If you ask me what is this object mapper is a class that is part of JSON API. These are internal things. This is part of JSON API. So inside this class, we need to call what? We need to call OM dot write value as string. This write value as string is going to accept the Java object, which is obj. Right? It is going to accept the Java object, and its return type is always going to be what? It is always going to be string, and it is going to throw an exception. So I'm just adding the JSON parsing exception. This return type is always string. So I'm trying to catch this data with a string itself. JSON str. Very simple, guys. Object mapper is a class that is belong to JSON API. Inside this class, there is a method called write value as string method. Right? This method is going to accept the Java object as an argument. So this is the object that I have created. I'm passing this Java object, right? So its return type is string. Return type is string. I'm going to catch this in the form of string. Making sense? Right? If I just try to display this, JSON str. See, this is JSON object. Java object equivalent JSON conversion. As simple as it. Very simple steps. With JSON API, I have just used what? The object mapper class. And inside the object mapper class, write value string method is there. I utilize that method. I have converted into JSON. As simple as that. These are the steps that you have to remember. I can simply copy this and I can simply paste it here. The same steps, same Pojo classes. But the question is, what logic that you are going to write in the main class? This is a logic that I have written. Right? When you talk about JSON API, so this is the output. So first line is specifying about the Java object. Second line is specifying about the JSON object. This is JSON object. Very simple. Okay. So this is a JSON object. I can also say that this is a lightweight object. This object can be used to transport to any application. Right? No, I just want to transport the Java object, just like the Java object. You can use serializable interface. Right? But the question is whether the receiving system, whether the receiving application, or whether the receiving end is going to accept the data in the form of Java, or that is the question. If both the applications are working on the same languages, no problem. but there are high chances that the application or the server side application that you're trying to get communicated is going to accept a different technology or different servers or different languages. In that case, it won't be appropriate when you try to transfer the Java object itself, because Java object cannot be understood or the data cannot be extracted. So in those cases, it is highly recommended to go for JSON objects. Transportation will also become very easy. As simple as that. By this, I can conclude that the Java application, if you want to convert your Java object to JSON object, these are the main methods. These are the approaches that you can follow using GSON library. Second one is using JSON API. Adding JSON dependency is going to give you what? You can use with the help of JSON dependency, you can do the conversion. Secondly, with the help of JSON API, you can do the conversion. But in the JSON dependency, there is a method called what? Internally, you have a method like new JSON, to JSON method is there. But when you specifically talk about JSON, write value as string is a method. It is all about what the JSON object conversion, Java object to JSON object. So these are the theory part, right? Try to focus this or try to at least run this application